I think we're good to begin.
Okay, thank you, Sierra. Stephanie, are you ready?
Yes, I am completely ready with my stop clock in hand.
Awesome, thank you. All right, well, hello, everybody. Angie Helseth here, your statewide vice president. Happy to be on this side of the screen for sure today, but what an exciting day it is. I also work at the Lino Lakes prison as a caseworker. I've been with this state for about 25 years and I'm a proud member of Region 13. So thank you all for joining us today for the statewide president election forum. Before getting to the candidates and questions, we'll first cover some housekeeping, a bit of the basics of the statewide president position, as well as the logistics and rules of the forum. This forum is being recorded and will be available soon on the MAPE website and YouTube channel. If you missed the recent secretary and political council election forums, you can find the recordings on the website already. MAPE elections open on December 2nd and close on December 12th. I would love to plug another major event coming up. MAPE will once again be hosting Lobby Day. You can scan the QR code on your screen to add it to your calendar or add it yourself for Thursday, March 6th, 2025. It's important that our legislators hear our stories, and more information will be on the website at mape.org and in upcoming newsletters. So let's move on. It is now time to begin the statewide president election forum. A little bit about the president position according to MAPE's bylaws. The president shall serve as the chair of the executive committee, the board of directors, and the delegate assembly. The president shall serve as an ex officio member of statewide standing committees except for the elections committee. The president may call for special meetings of the board of directors or delegate assembly as provided for in these bylaws. The president shall work with the chief of staff to provide for effective and proactive labor relations with the employer to include, where appropriate, participation in departmental meet and confers, statewide labor management committees, negotiations, and political action. The president shall appoint all committee members and committee chairs subject to board approval, except those for which provisions have been made. This year, 2 of our fellow MAPE members are running for statewide president. Megan Dayton is the current MAPE president, and Ted Snaza is a current Region 4 director. This is your opportunity to ask them questions. You can submit questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If we run out of time to answer all questions, you can also email the candidates directly. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening and closing statements, as well as for each question. They will get a 10-second warning before the time is up. When their time is up, the microphones will be muted. Candidates will wait until they are prompted to unmute and show their video. Only one candidate will have their video and microphone on at one time. A reminder that all candidates should conduct their campaigns in a manner that promotes the welfare of MAPE in a respectful manner. A special thank you to Stephanie Boucher of the Statewide Elections Committee for being our timekeeper today. We're now looking forward to having both candidates introduce. Hi, Stephanie. We're now looking forward to having both candidates introduce themselves to you and explain why they would like to serve as MAPE's statewide president. So let's get started. Let's turn now to introductory statements where we can learn more about the candidates and their plans for our union. Welcome, Megan. You're up first. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
All right, thanks, Angie.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks so much for being here and spending your lunch hour with us. I'm really grateful to get some time to chat with you and talk about this really important position for our union. So over the last 4 years, it has been an absolute privilege and an honor to lead our union through some pretty significant challenges that came our way. Together, we've achieved historic wins, including the largest wage increases in our union's history and critical improvements to healthcare and leave policies. I think for me, these victories that we've achieved together reflect our collective strength and our determination for our union. As we look ahead, though, the challenges will definitely grow. But in those challenges, I think, is also our opportunity to make a difference in the world, in Minnesota, in our communities, in our union. And I am committed to continuing to fight for the dignity and the rights of public workers, to ensure that MAPE remains a leader in innovation and advocacy, both in our workplaces, in our communities, and at the Capitol, and to building the strong and united membership that we need to face whatever comes next. As your president, I've always believed in leading with transparency and fairness and a relentless focus on our mission, which is improving the lives of our members and the communities that we serve. I've learned from every success and every setback, and I'm more determined now than ever to keep us moving forward. So today, I ask for your continued support and trust. Together, we've proven what's possible when we stand united, and I'd like to continue to build on that strength and ensure that our union is ready to meet the future head on. So thank you.
10 seconds.
Thank you, Megan. Next up is Ted. Ted, you also have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you, Angie. Hello, everyone. My name is Ted Snaza. Thank you for taking your time today, and thank you for showing your interest in MAPE on who leads our union. I've been an active MAPE member for 16 years, and I've worked my way up from member to recruiter to steward to regional steward director, to regional director, and now I'm asking for you to vote for me for president. I've seen our membership drop by almost 10% over the last 5 years. 10%. Every year it gets a little bit lower and lower and lower. And I keep asking myself, when are we going to step up and demand a change? When are we going to decide that this actually matters, that having a union matters, and that we, all of us, have to do something to change where we're heading? Because we've been going down the same path without fail, and I don't like where it's heading. If you go to my website, tedformape.com, you can see the many, many ideas I have for MAPE. Some of them are my own, and some I've been working on with some other members. I believe most of them can work, but it's something new to try, a new path to take. I've helped MAPE grow by training MAPE officers, helping to get PPL passed, negotiating with commissioners on ADA issues, supporting striking UAW members, working arbitrations, grievances, investigations, training stewards, updating our due structure, passing multiple resolutions, and protecting members' voices both externally and internally. I have a lot of ideas and I want to get them done. I have the motivation, the passion, the support, the patience, and the determination to get them done. So please give me your vote, and I promise you it won't be wasted. Again, thank you for your time and for the interest you're showing in MAPE today.
10 seconds.
Thank you, Ted, for that statement. Another reminder for those of you joining us, if you have a question for our candidates, please submit them using the QA box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It's now time to go on to some of the questions you have sent us. MAPE's Liz Springer is reviewing the questions and providing them to me to ask the candidates. So the first question, Ted, you will go first for this one. Our first question is, as a voting member of the executive team, what issues would you like to see our union tackle? And you have 2 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Angie. What issues would I like us to tackle? I think the main issue on everybody's mind is our membership percentage, and I think that's the first thing we have to tackle far and above everything else. Once that's handled, I believe that we should be looking at our technology. We should be updating the website, the systems that we use for better analytical and data retention. And we have to help support our staff as best we can. When it comes to membership, I plan on going to as many NEOs myself as I can, new employee orientation events. I plan on supporting our business agents as best as we can and our membership secretaries because they need the most help. And I think that if enough of our member leaders, that's a lot of you there too, pulled together, we can get that membership percentage back up. But it's going to take a lot of work. And I honestly can't focus on too many issues besides that one because I believe it is the core and the root of the main issue that we're facing right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. So next up, Megan, you the mic is yours. You have 2 minutes also.
Thanks. What I want us to focus on is building our union. It's always the thing that we need to focus on. There's always going to be threats coming at us, and we need to build relationships with each other now more than ever to get back into our community and build this union. The way that we do that is through deepening member engagement. That will inherently bring new people into the fold, but it will mobilize the people that we've already got. So we've got our $1 million membership campaign that the Delegate Assembly approved last month. We're now calling it the Union Power Project. And I think this is a really unique opportunity to create those spaces where our members can feel empowered and valued and invested in our collective success. They don't need a formal position or a title to do this work. If somebody's excited about something, I want to make a space for them to do that work and bring other members along. I think this includes fostering relationships through in-person events, some training and education, and some new approaches to member outreach, figuring out what works and maybe making some mistakes along the way, but figuring out how to build our public sector union in the face of widespread telework and the many challenges that will come at us over the next couple of years. But our union is more important than it ever has been before. And I want to see that strengthened through internal processes that we have to better support those members, enhanced transparency and accountability in the places where we're making decisions. And I think we can do that through a lot of different ways, through improved technology, through streamlining our operations, more consistent communications with folks, just allowing us to serve our members more effectively and ensure that we remain a strong force for change.
Great. Thank you, Megan. So we do have a second question here. Organizing will be a major focus of MAPE next year. What are some of your ideas about how to engage new members? And you'll have 2 minutes again for this question. And Megan, you're up first, so the floor is yours.
Thanks, Angie. I talked quite a bit about that already. We have this unique opportunity given to us by the Delegate Assembly to try some new things to bring new members into the fold. We heard from folks around the state this summer that they really want to do in-person things with their colleagues around the state. And I think bringing people from different locals and different parts of the state to do these in-person and fun activities where we can build meaningful relationships together is the way to bring people into this union and this community that we want to develop. And then taking the next step and inviting them to maybe lobby day, or we have contract negotiations coming up, so inviting them to a rally to support those efforts around contract negotiation. But right now, if you raised your hand to agree to do something within our union, everything gets put on your plate. You go from 0 to 100 sometimes. And I think it's really important that we break down the pieces of union activism and engagement with our union into smaller and more manageable pieces, both so that the people that are doing the work don't get burned out, and so that we can bring more people into this work alongside us. I want to make sure that the things that we're doing within our union directly serve our membership. And the only way that we can do that effectively is if we bring more people into the fold, starting from day one. I would like us to focus on our outreach in those first 30 days, but then getting those people involved, and not just a membership card, but what does it actually mean to be part of this union, bringing people into that work with us and making it more manageable along the
10
way.
seconds.
Thanks, Megan. Ted, it is now your turn to take the floor, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Angie. If I remember the question properly, it's organizing will be a major focus, and we're looking at ideas to engage new members.
That
I
is
think-
correct. Yep,
Thank
sorry.
you. We've been planning on engaging members a lot over the years, but I don't think it's really increased a lot of activity at the local level. We have many of our 39 locals with multiple officer positions unfilled. And so I think we need to start thinking outside the box and getting creative with our ideas. One of the ways I want to do that is sort of a go big or go home mentality. I feel we've spread ourselves out too thin, and we need to focus more on singular events. When our president of Region 4, Local 401, Jeff came to us with the idea of a big event. The Saints Day was one of his things that he brought up, of one of the choices. And as soon as I heard that, I jumped on the idea. I immediately had a vision of the future of having a rally at the Capitol as a contract action event, and then having those thousands of MAPE members marching down to the Saints Stadium for an event there afterwards. We did it the first year with a single local, and it went off very well. And then this past year, Jeff organized it and I advertised it. And I don't know if you were at Delegate Assembly last year where you saw me talking about it and telling you to go to your local leaders and get them to come. And then there was the onboard training. I had more people reach out to me then, and we had
10 seconds.
1,200, 1,500 people show up. We need more big events like that that will continue to draw our members in and make them more active and engaged. And I think that's
Stop.
one of the main roads that we have to take.
Great, thank you, Ted. So another reminder, if you have a question for our candidates, please submit them in the QA box. We have quite the list so far, so we'll keep moving right along. So it's time for our third member question. Our membership has a variety of social, political, economic beliefs and experiences. How do you bridge that gap? How do we make sure that all voices are heard? You each have 2 minutes to respond. And Ted, you get to be first this time, so take it away.
Fantastic, thank you. Variety of beliefs and experiences. So I think the best way to handle that is to focus on what we have in common, which is our union experience and our work experience, the state we live in, and how we can bring those things together in a useful manner to help each other deal with whatever issues are coming up. I know at the last negotiation, there were a few specific negotiation items that some of our membership weren't too happy about, but they focused on a small percent of membership, but they were a very damaged percent of membership. And so I think you have to walk that line between making sure that you're helping everybody, our core membership, and then also looking out for any issues that may arise and not forgetting them. And I was very happy that our negotiation team was able to get those. I believe CERN was one of them for the corrections officers, and there were some other negotiating aspects that they were able to entail in there too. Through my current job, I deal with a lot of angry and irate customers. So personally, I have a lot of experience handling difficult conversations, cooperating and mediating between people. So I feel like any sort of experiences that people come up, I will have the compassion to be able to listen to them attentively,
10
to handle their
seconds.
issue. And if I can't, then at least to be able to point them in the right direction so it can get handled with whoever the experience.
Thank you, Ted, for that response. Megan, you're up.
Thanks. What I've learned in my 4.5 years doing this is that it seems like on every issue that we have within our union, we have a third of our membership that is automatically in support of it. We have a third of our membership that is automatically opposed to it, whatever it is. And that third of our membership in the middle that either wants more information or is unsure about how they want to proceed. So much of this work is understanding that we have a very diverse union with 18,000 people and helping to bring those voices together, fostering a culture of listening and mutual respect more than anything else. I want to highlight, I think, a really good example of doing this work. And I see that in the 32-hour work week folks, where they have this bold idea and they're organizing around it and they're bringing people into the fold. And when they encounter somebody that is just automatically against the idea of a 32-hour work week, they ask why. They ask open-ended questions to figure out where they're coming to this conversation from. And they're building them in because that's strengthening their argument for it along the way. I can think of some folks at DHS that have concerns with the 32-hour work week. And instead of shutting them out because they disagree, they're listening to them and figuring out how those people can be included in the conversation. So ultimately, bridging divides in our union is about building relationships so that people can understand where other folks are coming from, building trust, showing consistency, and really and truly valuing every member's contributions are the most important part, I think, of making sure that we
10
remain
seconds.
strong, we remain inclusive, and we remain the best public sector union in the state.
Thank you, Megan. That will bring us to our fourth question. What are some effective strategies you would use to form and support our external partnerships? What does that look like? What are the specific steps you would take to do that? We have 2 minutes again, and Megan, you're up first this time.
Thanks. External relationships are a big part of this work. And I think that includes the employer, but it includes people at the Capitol, and it includes people in other unions around the state. And we've done a lot of that work over the last 4 years. The CERP example is a great one of those. It's the Correctional Employee Retirement Program, where folks with direct incarcerated person contact can retire early in their career. And we had an inequity in our contract that went back about a decade. And we've been working on getting parity with AFSCME and MMA and other unions that cover people in corrections. And this last, actually 2 contracts ago, we built the coalition with the other labor unions that are in that room, bargaining together. And this time around, we were able to get it through because we organized around it. We brought those people out together to understand how important this was to our members. So ultimately, I think, again, though, it's the same answer that I had last time. It's about building relationships with people and helping them understand what's important to our members. And I see this directly at the Capitol when we bring in our members to testify on a bill that we have in the House or in the Senate, talking with them outside of those hearings and helping them understand where our members are coming from. But it is a big part of this work and it's so important. And I think we've made huge strides over the last 4.5 years to help people understand that we are 18,000 people, but we are so
10 seconds.
strong. And when we show up, it is, you can't ignore us. And I think that's the most important part of it.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Ted, same question for you, please. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Angie. Strategies to form external partnerships. Well, actually, years ago, when I was a regional steward director, I'd already started this at our region. I coordinated with AFSCME, and I also included a little bit MMA there. And we met regularly, monthly for a while when we needed to, otherwise quarterly, just to make sure we stayed in touch about any issues that we were each seeing from HR or any organizing events we might be having, so that we can back each other up and help out. I know there's a coalition building campaign or committee, and I think that needs to be strengthened. I think we need more active outreach to other unions. We need to actively go to union events. If we see another union striking, if we show up with a good group of members who live in the area, I think that will resonate a lot with other unions, and they'll be much more helpful to come out and join our events and show their support for us. I'm hopeful that our restructure will actually allow that if we have a little bit more legislatively based locals or something like that, where we can get our members to cooperate and communicate with the other people in their neighborhood a little bit better. I think it makes it easier for members to go to events when they know that, hey, Joe or Sally down the road from me is in my local and in my neighborhood, and they're going to be going, so I can talk with somebody. I'll know somebody there for it. I think that our meet and confer and our negotiating, I honestly think that our external partnerships are a little bit too friendly. I think we need to not be as much friends with the governor and MMB and need to take a little bit harder stance. Because I think that we've been pushed around a little bit, and I think that is something that I have to.
Okay. Thank you, Ted. I'm going to take a quick second here to address one of the questions here in the QA. We have gone through now our first questions that were submitted, and I'm just going down the list. So for the person that asked why I'm not asking the Q&As, I'm getting to them right now, and I'm going to start at the top. So we still have about 27 minutes left. So we're going to move on to question number 5. And it's another one from one of our members. Like I said, I'm going down the list here. When do you feel it is important to abstain / be neutral on a subject versus speaking up on your own views? And it looks like this time, Ted, you are first, and I'll repeat that question. When do you feel it is important to abstain or be neutral on a subject versus speaking up on your own views? You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Angie. When do you feel it's important to abstain on a subject or share your own views? I believe I have a different viewpoint than some other people might have in this. I think it's important for a leader to share their opinions and their views. That way their membership knows where they stand. It's also a fine line, though. You have to be sure to also support those people and their views, even if you don't agree with them. I have a lot of experience in that just in my mediation and negotiation. Also previously being a supervisor myself, before working at the state. I know how hard it can be to support ideas you don't believe in, but I believe the path forward there is to actually support that they're heard and letting the membership decide as a whole. I think that is really what a leader should be doing. And I don't think having an opinion holds back at all on that. So I like sharing my opinion with people, and then I like hearing their ideas and letting them change my mind. So it definitely happens sometimes. But if they don't know your opinion and where you stand on something, and you don't show it and stand up and support them, then I think they lose faith in that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Megan, you have 2 minutes next.
Thanks. I love this question. I've never met a topic that I am truly neutral on. I have lots of opinions, and I'm happy to share them with anybody that asks. And I think in driving our union forward, it is very important that our president is opinionated on those things and is willing to say those things out loud when appropriate. When we are in a formal setting like the Delegate Assembly or the Board of Directors, we are governed by Robert's Rules of Order. And Robert's Rules of Order require that the chair remain neutral, except when either choosing to make or break a tie. So I have followed those rules within our Delegate Assembly and our Board of Directors, only voting when my vote is needed to make a tie, which would cause the motion to fail, or to break a tie, which would cause it to pass. But leading up to those spaces, it is my job as president to make sure that the voices that want to be heard along the way have space to say the things that they want to say. And I am one of those people, for sure. I know that my views and my voice carry weight in my leadership roles. So I've tried to recognize the responsibility that comes inherent with this position to advocate for others and address some challenges that come along the way. So I think striking the balance between neutrality and advocacy really depends on understanding the broader implications of speaking out or holding back. But my job is to set our union up to make good decisions, and I take that seriously.
Thanks, Megan. So I think we are on now to question number 6. And this is coming from our Q&A. Megan, you will be first on this one. This is a kind of longer question, so if you need me to repeat anything, let me know. How do MAPE activities relating to conflict in Gaza support labor relations for professional employees of the state of Minnesota? Are there not workers or labor unions in Israel that could use support? If union solidarity does not require official, maybe I'll leave that part out. I'm going to leave it at that. That's the question. How do MAPE activities relating to the conflict in Gaza support labor relations for professional employees of the state of Minnesota? That'll be the question, please. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. The conflict in Gaza has extended beyond the people that are making the decisions to continue the conflict in Gaza, that is older than I am at this point, older than many of us are. But I think that our activities relating to that conflict align with the broader commitment of our union to promote justice and the principle that an injury to one worker is an injury to all workers. And I've seen where the advocacy within our union on this topic has brought the conversation back to advocacy across international boundaries for the workers that are being impacted in both Gaza and in Israel. So I think, our primary focus is definitely on improving labor relations and working conditions for all professional employees in the state of Minnesota. But I think we can also recognize that global issues, that injustice, that human rights violations can have ripple effects and touch all workers, including our own members. That said, I also understand the concern about ensuring that our union's actions directly serve our membership. And I think union solidarity doesn't always mean a unanimous agreement, but rather holding up those shared principles that strengthen our collective action. So supporting workers and labor unions in Israel and anywhere else in the world, for that matter, can also be an expression of our solidarity. And I think that's what I have seen and been inspired by with the group,
10
the
seconds.
ceasefire caucus in our union that is taking on these issues and helping lead us through them.
Thanks, Megan. Ted, you have 2 minutes. Would you like me to repeat the question at all?
If you want to, I almost don't want to put you through trying to read it all again, but
I don't mind. It's kind of a tough one, so let me go ahead. I don't mind doing it at all. And your time won't start until I'm finished. So, how do MAPE activities relating to conflict in Gaza support labor relations for professional employees of the state of Minnesota?
thank you. How do they relate? So first of all, just us having a union in the first place allows for groups of like-minded individuals who are members in the union to get together when there's something that ignites their passions. And that's a good thing, whether you're for or against this particular issue. It's good that people can get together and discuss them and stand up and make their voices heard. And part of that also is that we're a democratically run union. So when a majority of members decide they want to stand up and vote on something, say something, put forth a resolution, get something changed, they have the ability to do that. So the last part of this is also that as union members, we have a retirement account, a pension. And that's a condition of our state employment. Our pension dollars are funding this conflict through investments in weapons manufacturers, and that directly relates to our employment. I believe that the divestment resolution actually doesn't, and yeah, the divestment from the pension doesn't specifically relate to the Israel-Gaza conflict. It talks about countries that have had human rights violations against them and that are supporting weapon manufacturers. So it's not specifically about the conflict itself, which is, I think, something that we can all get behind. Not supporting countries that violate human rights. So though I guess those would be my 3 points. Having a union in the first place, it's democratically run. It allows members to get together.
Thanks, Ted and Megan, for your answers. So we're going to move on to our next question. And I think, Ted, you will be up first this time. Man, when there's 2 of you, it's like back to back, huh? But you do get a break eventually. So the 32-hour work week campaign has consistently heard from members that exempt employees are consistently working far above 40-hour work weeks. What do you see as strong contractual or legal actions MAPE can take to address unhealthy workloads? and you'll have 2 minutes.
Can you repeat it, please?
Can do. The 32-hour work week campaign has consistently heard from members that exempt employees are working far above 40-hour work weeks. What do you see as strong contractual or legal actions MAPE can take to address unhealthy workloads?
Thank you, Angie.
Mhm.
I haven't heard about this specifically, but I have heard of issues similar to it. One thing I can speak on is I believe that previously there was a plan 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm not sure exactly. A plan to possibly take the state to court, possibly with the lawsuit. Again, I don't know enough about it, but if there are enough workers, temporary and classified, exempt, who are being punished by the state, this speaks to the relationships I mentioned before, where I think we've been too friendly in the past, and we do need to start taking these harder actions to hold the state more accountable for the way they've been exploiting our workers. And yes, I do think that some exploitation has happened. MMB has been either ignoring a lot of our pleas for help, or they have been kind of shunting them off to the side. So I'm fully on board with a legal action, because I think that will let the state know that we're not going to be as friendly as we have been in the past. Thank you.
Okay, having trouble with my buttons here apparently. Sorry about that. Thank you, Ted, for that response, and I apologize for the delay there. Megan, you're up for 2 minutes. Do you need me to repeat that question?
Nope, I got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mhm.
Fellow exempt employees unite. It's an issue here. So for me, the 32-hour work week campaign has really brought into the sunlight a critical issue that was only made worse by the pandemic, and that is the unsustainable workload that many of our members, many of our exempt employees face. So I think this is both an immediate action, but also some long-term strategies that can help us create healthier work environments for our members. But contractually speaking, which was the question, I think that we can start focusing and negotiating on some clearer workload limits in those in our collective bargaining agreement, even for exempt employees. I think this is possible. This should include provisions for maybe tracking hours and making sure that comp time or additional support when workload expectations exceed reasonable limits are addressed. The stronger language, I think, around workload equity could include managerial accountability also, to help address some of those more systemic issues that are contributing to overwork in our membership. Legally, which is not our contract, but legally, we could advocate for some state level policies that align with fair labor practices. And these include increased transparency in our job expectations individually, some workload audits around the state. Some of those could provide relief for our members. But I think we should also be supporting and exploring legislation that's aimed at narrowing the gap between exempt and non-exempt protections, particularly where we have excessive workloads that are negatively impacting our members' mental and physical health. But addressing it head on, as we are currently doing, I think reinforces our commitment to improving quality of life for our members.
Thanks, Megan. So we're moving on to our next question. And so Megan, you'll be first. Can you speak to your goals or thoughts on improvement to MAPE operations and staff retention?
Broadly, yeah. Um, so when I was elected 4.5 years ago, we had an executive director, and it was strong executive director style, kind of like a strong mayor. In that executive director's contract was a lot of things, most particularly was they were responsible for being the chief negotiator for our union. And when I was on the negotiations team, I think it was not very powerful to see our executive director. Let me rephrase that. I think it could have been more powerful to have our negotiations co-chairs or a member directly bargaining with the state instead of our executive director. And so over these 4 years, we've moved to have a chief of staff instead of an executive director, so that we have that one person that is in charge of our staff and developing a management team to carry out the strategy and the decisions that are happening at our board of directors and our executive committee and our delegate assembly. So I think streamlining that process and having a chief of staff rather than an executive director has been a powerful move for us to put members back in places where they can have the spotlight on their work. I think that again, I think that's been a powerful shift for us within MAPE. And so my job as our president then is to make sure that our chief of staff has the tools and the resources that they need to make sure that MAPE is a great place to work. And that includes retention and recruitment and all the
10
things that come with that, but it's really supporting our chief of staff in making those changes and decisions. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan. Ted, you have 2 minutes to answer that question. Do you need it repeated at all?
Sure.
Okay. So can you speak to your goals or thoughts on improvement to MAPE operations and staff retention?
Thank you again, Angie. Sorry to have to make you work a little bit harder there. Over the past few years, most of our staff leaders, our directors are new. We've lost multiple BAs for multiple reasons. And I think that there are some things that we can do better than we've done in the past. Personally, on the board, I've made motions myself to hire additional BAs from what were planned, including some of the support staff and everybody there. I remember the last time, maybe it was 2 times ago, we hired more staff. It was discovered that our staff to member ratio is one of the lowest of all the unions in the state, which shocked me. So I fully support hiring more staff, and I plan on treating them as honestly kind of like family. I plan on never requiring them, since they're in a union of their own, to have to come to me as a whole because I haven't been listening to them. I'll have an open door policy. They can come see me at any point they want to, talk about anything they need to. And I fully am prepared to handle any sort of difficult conversation that comes forward, and not let anything go by the wayside. In addition to that, it was mentioned that previously there was an executive director and now our president runs everything. I actually want to give some of those powers back to the board of directors. I think that having a group of members decide things is much better
10
than a
seconds.
single person. And so in some of the ways, some of our hiring practices and some of the way things are decided, I think should be brought back to the board instead of holding with
Stop.
us.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, Ted. Might as well keep the camera on. We'll do, I think, one more question. So if elected, will you commit to allowing all resolutions submitted by members to be heard at delegate assembly, save for rare exceptions? You have 2 minutes, sorry.
You're fine. I was muted, so I unmuted. Just want to make sure I was okay to do that. Thank you. So if anybody watched the Board of Directors meeting, after hearing that the resolutions were all stopped and hearing my appeal speech, which I'm happy to share with anybody, I would never block any member resolution, any member voice at all from being heard. I think that's probably top three. One of the most important things that we can defend is our voices, basically our freedom of speech. And you would never see that from me at all whatsoever. I can't stress that enough. Sorry. I honestly don't really have anything else to say on that subject because it's that committed. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ted. Megan, you're up. You have 2 minutes.
Thanks. So the decisions to bring resolutions to the delegate assembly are beyond the president's control. That's not a decision that the president has. We have language in our bylaws that allow the executive committee as a body to object to the resolutions going to delegate assembly, but there is an appeals process built in where it goes to the board of directors. And we had a successful using of that language this year. Delegate assembly itself, I think, is we call it our highest governing body, but what I've experienced is that we put not enough time and effort into making that a successful way or a powerful way for our members to bring forward resolutions that can strengthen our union and reinforce our shared commitment to our democratic principles. I would like to see us rethink delegate assembly and maybe bring delegate assembly together more often than just once a year. Some big decisions are coming to that body, and I think we should have time to have conversation about what the resolution authors are asking of our delegate assembly before we put it to an actual decision. If you look at the legislative process, there's committee hearings, there's revisions, it goes through a whole process before it's actually on the floor for a vote. And I think that is the way that I would like us to move forward. I'd like the delegate assembly to meet even maybe quarterly, and more decisions are happening at the delegate assembly because we're helping to prepare our union's highest governing body for the big decisions that we're asking it to make. So yeah, I think there's rare exceptions where something shouldn't go there, but my
10
goal is
seconds.
to create a fair and open process where our members feel confident that their ideas and concerns will be given the attention they deserve.
Thanks, Megan. Okay, crap. I forgot that we have 2 minutes each for closing statements, so we're maybe going to run over time a little bit. I apologize, but just so you all know, I was trying to get through as many of our questions as I could, and unfortunately, I did not get through all of them. So if you'd like to follow up, you can certainly feel free to call or email Megan or Ted with the questions that are in the Q&A. So I apologize we could not get through all of them, but I do want to make sure we have this last few minutes to do our closing statements. And so we'll be starting with Ted. So you have 2 minutes, Ted.
I'm trying to start my video. It won't let me. There we go. I honestly didn't even know we were going to have closing statements, so this will be a little off the cuff as I thought we were out of time there, but that's okay. Thank you again, Angie, for moderating all this. I'm sure it's not easy. I have a lot of ideas and things I want to say that I'm not going to be able to fit here. So again, tedformape.com, take a look. I haven't updated it because I've been ill the past week. There's been a lot going on, as I'm sure there is with all of your lives too. So what I would focus on is that our membership percentage again has dropped considerably over the last 5 years. I plan on halting that and turning it around. With any luck, reverse it within 2 to 3 years. We need to focus on our NEOs, our new employee orientations, larger contract events, increased member engagement at the local level. There are a lot of locals still hurting that need officers, that need support, and they don't have the people power to get it done. There's a lot of core tactics that we've been neglecting, and I want to increase them and get all of you here today to help increase them. You're the ones who are showing up and actually showing an interest in MAPE outside of the norm. And of all the people that can help, I think it's going to go on to you just as much as it will me. I promise to increase our action events, also strengthen our member support, improve our cooperation and collaboration with MAPE staff, increase our cross-union work. I want to create an offboarding plan so our members can continue to support MAPE well into retirement and mobilize those associate MAPE members. I think there's a lot they can do, and they're an untapped resource.
10
For
seconds.
years, we've had to said we were going to redo our website. I want to upgrade our technology, create some strike policies to be ready if we ever need it.
Stop.
Thank you, Ted. Well done for not being prepared for a final statement. So thank you for that. Megan, so you will have the final closing statement here.
All right, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time today to engage in this forum and for giving us the opportunity to answer to some thoughtful questions. I think that we have these forums, that people attend them on their lunch hour is an important reminder of what makes us strong. And it is the passion and the dedication and the commitment of our 18,000 members. So over the past 4 years, I have worked tirelessly to strengthen our union and deliver results that make a real difference in your lives. I think together we've accomplished some historic wins, and I am committed to building on that momentum. The road ahead is going to require strong leadership and innovative solutions and a deep commitment to our unity. And I'm ready to lead us through this next chapter. Your trust and your support have always been my greatest motivators. And so I'm asking for your vote to continue the work that we've started. Together, we can navigate whatever lies ahead in our path and ensure that our union remains a powerful advocate for our members. So I look forward to the work that we will continue to do together. Thank you so much for this space. Thank you for engaging in our union over the years. And I hope you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Again, I want to apologize. We're about 2 minutes over. But thank you, as Megan and Ted both said. I wanted to reiterate the gratefulness that I feel to have you all here and taking the time today. This is an important decision, and I'm happy to see that you are taking a part in the governance and how your union is run. So thank you again. And a big thank you, Megan and Ted, for participating today in a very polite and respectful way. That is greatly appreciated. And again, thanks to all of you for being here. A reminder that MAPE elections take place December 2nd through the 12th. So make sure you vote for the candidate who impressed you the most today for statewide president. Also on the ballot will be the statewide secretary and members of the political council. So thank you again for watching today's election forum. And thanks for all you do for Minnesota and MAPE. Have a great rest of your day.